I'd really like to go and have a toast to the person that made all of this happen. And he went out like an absolute champ. If it wasn't for this man, there wouldn't be any Joy Boy return. So cheers to you. Thanks for making this happen. And thanks for creating the most exciting hype chapter in One Piece history. Cheers. Be sure to go and like this video and subscribe to the channel. I do weekly One Piece discussions, theories, and reviews. Now, I think we can collectively agree that there's no exaggeration when I say that this chapter is one of the best, most important, most impactful chapters in One Piece history. And first and foremost, I just want to say that I'm so happy to go and be here to share this with you guys. One of my big favorite moments was the Gear 4 reveal, as well as Kaido's first introduction, and I'll never forget those chapters. So I'm so happy that I had the chance to be able to experience this reveal with you guys. And in case you haven't seen it, it's on the channel. Be sure to go and check it out. I did not expect where that went. I didn't expect this level of a reveal, and I'm so happy that I got the chance to go and share it with you guys. And I've been so happy and excited to see everybody's thoughts, everyone's theories, their opinions online in regards to Luffy's ability, his awakening, Joy Boy's appearance in over 800 years. This man has returned, and I'm so excited to go and see everyone's thoughts. And this video is a way for me to look at everybody's thoughts, everyone's opinions online, as well as sharing some of my own when it comes to the explanation for this massive reveal where Joy Boy is back after 800 years, and what looks to be the awakening of Luffy's Devil Fruit and what that actually means. Because there was a previous chapter that just happened that had the Gorosei talk about that there was a name for a Devil Fruit that it was under a different name. So with this chapter, it looks to be the case in terms of Luffy, and we're going to talk all about this in this video. Now, what I love about this series is that there are so many reveals that happen, and the clues are right in front of our faces. But the way in which Oda does the dialogue, it does it in a way that you just don't take notice of it. You just think it's everyday banter. You don't think it's anything of importance. So my favorite thing with this chapter is it highlights that Kaido's obsession with wanting to die, it coincides with this. We know that Joy Boy is a massive factor for Kaido. He's mentioned it to himself. He's mentioned it to others. He's mentioned it to Luffy himself. Mix that with Kaido wanting to die. His first introduction with him wanting to die, highlighting the attempts of him trying to die, but not being able to, mixed with this constant dialogue that he has with Luffy and others. For instance, the one that highlights for me the most is the one where he says, death is what completes a person. Death is a massive thing for Kaido's character, as well as Joy Boy. So now, when you have Luffy, who in the chapter, it is stated with the dialogue, with the sounds, with the hints, with everything in the chapter, it pretty much says that he died. So when you have Luffy in this chapter who has died, it said so in the chapter, he is dead, and now this has happened. This is massive. This shows that we could very well have been seeing Kaido trying to die all this time to get to Joy Boy, whether it's him or just trying to find the answers. Death is a massive part of Kaido's character, and now that we're seeing that as soon as Luffy died, we are seeing the return of Joy Boy. That is massive, and I'm so excited to go and see whenever Kaido gets the chance to see Joy Boy back in action, embodied through Luffy, what he has to say. Because he has been hinting this day in and day out, and now that we're seeing this, it's huge. This man was upset that he couldn't take his own life. Or rather, he wasn't trying to die because he was upset. He was upset because he was trying to die, but couldn't. Now, if you're like me and every single other One Piece fan, you were trying to look online for the answers for Joy Boy himself. And you most likely would have seen this image that I'm going to have on the screen right now. Now, I can't necessarily say what exactly the source was for this image, but it was about Joy Boy. This absolutely matches with what the descriptions for Joy Boy was, but what I absolutely love is this piece of text really highlights what is happening right now with Luffy's heart, with the drums of liberation. And so if we read this passage, we're going to get a better understanding of what this truly means in the context of what happened in this chapter. So, Joy Boy smiles perpetually at all the foibles and problems of mankind, and cures human troubles by tapping out an irresistible rhythm on his drum. Whoever hears the music of Joy Boy is compelled to dance and sing along until he or she has shaken the black cloak of despair from their shoulders. Some jazz players claim to have captured Joy Boy's rhythms, but their efforts are a pale imitation of the dance frenzy which can keep humans dancing until they drop. Now, absolutely, this totally shows that what's happening right now with the beating of the drum of Luffy's heart is that of Joy Boy's drum. What it says here is that everyone who hears it is going to be compelled to dance and sing along. So I don't necessarily expect all of Wano Kingdom to start dancing and singing unless they're able to hear the drum, but we can see. But what I like from this is that Joy Boy is compelled to dance and sing along until he or she has shaken the black coat of despair from their shoulders. So that being Kaido. Kaido is the massive obstacle of Wano Kingdom. He is the roadblock. He is the one causing this massive cloak of despair over Wano Kingdom. So what I led to believe is that Joy Boy at the moment manifesting in Luffy's body is going to continue until Kaido is taken out because he is that black cloak. The dance frenzy which can keep humans dancing until they drop. Now, what I believe is that at the moment, this heartbeat is that drum, and the rhythm of Luffy's heartbeat is matching that of Joy Boy's drum, which is leading him to manifest this persona of Joy Boy, or it's Joy Boy himself, whatever the answer may be. But him dancing until they drop. So I would expect that at the moment, this is what's happening. So that heartbeat is happening. He's going to go and get up. He's going to go and take down Kaido. And then once that is done, Luffy drops. So he is doing this until his job is done, and then he will drop. So Luffy can come down, destroy Kaido. Once that job is done, his heart stops, the drum stops. He's dead, so you can have Law and Chopper jump in to be able to assist Luffy. And then maybe you can even have the whole thing of Law sacrificing himself to save Luffy. Whichever kind of scenario you want to put in there, we'll see what happens. But I totally believe what's going to happen is he's going to go and run this beat of the drum of his heart until Kaido gets taken out. It ends. He dies. We move on from there. This was the missing link to everything. When it comes to Joy Boy, when it comes to Luffy's Devil Fruit, the whole works. This is crazy. So the big theory at the moment is with Luffy's Devil Fruit, right? So instead of it being rubber, it is actually resin. So linking into that point of Luffy's Devil Fruit actually being not rubber, but resin, there are a number of different hints that Oda once again has made in the story in the past, which would totally answer this. But because Oda was so casual in saying so, with no other type of context, it directly lines up with this being resin. So, for instance, years ago in an SBS, Oda was asked whether Luffy's rubber was artificial or natural, and what he stated was natural, which could lead into that natural being, organic from the earth, it's naturally occurring. A natural occurring type of rubber would be resin. So one of the biggest theories is that the Devil Fruits are originating from the Adam and the Eve trees. So in saying that, what the thought is that Luffy's Devil Fruit was the very last Devil Fruit that was made from that tree. And so stripping back the tree, what you get down to it is the sap. So the very, very last Devil Fruit made from that tree was made from sap, and this would eventually be Luffy's Devil Fruit. Now, in saying that, if Luffy's fruit is sap instead of resin, this absolutely makes total sense for the types of powers that Luffy has. So massive props for Pringles. He gets all the credit for putting together this fantastic table explaining how the resin fruit for Luffy makes absolute sense for what abilities he has. Resin's properties fit with Luffy's Devil Fruit power. Resin is a chemical compound isolated from plants or animals in nature. Resin has an amber state where it's stretchy, which is Luffy's base form. Resin becomes soft on heating, which would be Gear 2. Resin burns with a smoky flame when ignited, which is all of Luffy's attacks relating to Red Hawk, Red Rock, etc. Resin can be hardened, which would be Gear 4. Resin is an insulator. Epoxy resins are widely used as insulators, which would directly answer why Luffy was able to nullify NL's lightning attacks. Now this next part is fantastic, and again, shout out to Pringles for pointing this out. So, of course, if we're going to be able to understand these sorts of things, we need to understand Oda's thought process. So, what Pringles has done is he has looked at what Oda has stated to be his 2 favorite scenes out of the entire manga. So, apparently Oda's second favorite scene in all of One Piece was when Robin wiped off some Sabbaty tree sap off Usopp's pants in chapter 496. And the reason for this is because it lends his world a feeling of realism. And you have a little text box here saying, a unique kind of natural resin is secreted. Now, as you can imagine, this is a extremely niche, unusual piece of information to put in a One Piece chapter. Now, my thought process for movies, TV shows, books, and all that sort of stuff has always remained the same. And that's, if there is a piece of info like this put in there, there is always a reason and a purpose for it. So, this really niche, really detailed piece of information about a natural resin being secreted from the trees in Sabbaty could potentially be linking in to Luffy's Devil Fruit. Not to mention that it just so happens to be Oda's second favorite scene out of the entirety of the One Piece manga. Now, Oda's first favorite scene in all of One Piece, according to this, it's Luffy dancing like Sun God Nika at the conclusion of the Skypiea arc. Now, absolutely, this is totally what the Joy Boy Nika foreshadowing is for Luffy. There is no question about it. And also because it's his very first favorite scene in all of One Piece, it totally lends to that Luffy and Joy Boy and Sun God Nika are all one in the same, especially with the conclusion of this chapter. Now, the next explanation for Luffy's Devil Fruit being resin is the fact that he's able to alter the trajectory of his arms when he's using Snake Man or any sort of form of Gear 4. So, the reason for this is that he is using this with resin. So, at each alteration, Luffy melts his resin and makes it change his trajectory. So, that would make total sense. You fire it off, it becomes hard and stretches, and then you would melt that part to let it bend, and then you'd let it freeze again. The world government is afraid of this Devil Fruit because it's legendary, not solely for its power. The Devil Fruit may be legendary because of its link with Sun Tree Eve and Fishman Island. The Devil Fruit was also eaten by Sun God Nika. I absolutely love this whole idea of Luffy's Devil Fruit being resin. It still sticks to Luffy's character of being a rubber man, a stretchy man, but because of it being resin, it really opens up the doors to a whole bunch of different possibilities for Luffy's Devil Fruit, and it really opens up the fact that his awakening now is allowing himself to what looks to be melting, really lends to the validity of it being resin, because now with its awakening, Luffy's body is melting away, and so now that opens up the doors to a whole bunch of different moves, attacks. His abilities now can go through the roof, and I'm so excited to see the fallout of this chapter. Now, for the longest time, the D we thought was the half moon for the moon people. I actually think it could well represent the smile of Joy Boy, and that the will of D stands for drums. Now, for other kingdoms and like the Gorosei and Eam and all that sort of stuff, they could very well just see that the D stands for devils, but I think the D could very well stand for drum, and that this drum, this rhythm, the drums of liberation, is the real focal point for Joy Boy and all of this time together. And that the D itself actually is the smile of Joy Boy. And that this smile is so apparent with every single member of the D family when they die. They have this smile. So now you have Luffy, who has died, having this smile, but he has his heart beating the drums of liberation from Joy Boy. That is what's separating Luffy amongst all the other D members, and that's what makes him Joy Boy. The theory that Luffy's devil fruit was the very last devil fruit that was made from the Eve tree. It was made from the sap of that tree, and that's why we are seeing this right now, and that's why it has all of the same sort of properties that the rubber fruit has, and it has this common misconception, but it's only those who are aware of the history of the world and the secrets of this fruit, like the Gorosei, that are able to distinguish that this is actually the sap fruit of legend. So when I look at mysteries like what the One Piece actually is, what are all these sorts of answers? I look to the very, very early stuff that Oda made, because One Piece wasn't meant to last this long. It was meant to end so much further back at the very start of the series. So with that being said, you would think that Oda had already pre-planned and already set out clues as to what the One Piece treasure is. And what I have seen is this one piece of cover art. What you have here is on the surface, a nice little cover page spread of the Straw Hat members basking in the treasure, having a great time. But what you see here is a skull with a massive smile, with the treasure pouring out of its mouth. Now, I would not be surprised if this picture is Oda's clue to what the One Piece is. So, at the moment, you have a skull, meaning death. You have a massive smile with the people of D smiling when they die, and you have mounds of treasure pouring out of their mouth. So, I think that this honestly is the massive key between all of this. And I wouldn't be surprised that whenever we get a full-blown reveal of what the treasure is and what the full picture is, linking everything, that this image right now, it was Oda's way of hinting us, the audience, to what the One Piece treasure is, what the Will of D means, and once again, giving us the clues right in front of our faces. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about all of this, about Joy Boy, about Luffy, about the Devil Fruit, about Sun God Nika. Any sort of thing you want to chat about, please let me know, because I need more people to chat to about this chapter. I absolutely am so hyped that this is happening. We're in the peak of One Piece at the moment, and it's only going to get better, and I'm so happy to go and be here with you guys to experience all of this and chat about my thoughts and have a great time. So, like this video, let me know your thoughts, take care, and I'll see all of you on the next one.